Who's from Visayas here? Anybody? Maayong hapon sa inyo. And magandang hapon to everybody. So, I'm JP Palpallatoc. I lead the digital practice in Accenture for the Philippines. I've been with Accenture for 25 years. Now, you might be asking, I think the first question you might be asking is, what is digital? Okay, and I think a lot of the speakers previously have discussed what digital is. But from an Accenture perspective, we focus on three capabilities. No? One is mobility, where we do mobile app development, which is the most common thing that we do. No? But there's also the work that we do on the connected devices. We do embedded software work, and for those skills there, you probably will have C, C++ type of skills. For the mobile app, is the traditional iOS, the Android, the HTML5 type of skills that you have. We also have what we call interactive. In this particular space, what we do is we do e-commerce, no? E-commerce development or e-commerce site development, content management, collaboration. Also, what we call UI UX. If you're not familiar with that, that's user interface, user experience, where we design the wireframes, how the particular application or how the particular site looks like. That's what we do. No? The third portion, which is I think it's an important capability as well, and something that's very popular and something that's going on is really analytics. No? For the statisticians or the mathematicians here in the crowd, analytics is an area where you can build your career on, because that's the particular skill that is being looked at for analytics. So why is analytics, why is digital important? As you can see in the slide, in terms of what we're seeing, in terms of connected devices, we've seen the acceleration of that. You've seen around 10 billion connected devices, from your smartwatches to your smartphones, to even wearables, no? Yung mga Google glasses, the autonomous vehicles, and other things like that. Actually, you will see more and more of that. In fact, you probably heard that Apple just launched its watch, right? The Apple Watch. There are other technologies there. Actually, Ralph Lauren is coming out of a what we call a smart shirt. No? It actually analyzes your biometrics. No? Those are the things that are coming out. So more and more, we'll be seeing connected devices, machine-to-machine communication, and it's going to be multi-platform. The other area that we're seeing is the data. The data right now is 4 trillion gigabyte. We will see the acceleration of that. We'll see 40 trillion gigabyte. And what we're seeing here is that it's not the amount of data that is a problem. It's actually the problem. No? I mean, what we're seeing is we're seeing data coming from structured as well as unstructured sources. When you go to your Facebook, no, those are unstructured data. When in the enterprise, when you go to the SAP systems, that is structured data. Okay. So when you put those, these things together, there's a lot of data there, and what you're looking for is filtering and making sure that you provide insight on those particular data. So that's analytics. So it's going to be very, very important for our clients. No? The other area is online sales. Right now, it's a $20.4 trillion business. And the question mark here is, how far will it go? People are buying more and more. In fact, I think there was a study that I read that in the Philippines, Filipinos actually trust more the likes or what is being shown in the internet, no? In the Facebook, no? How many people like a particular product? If you're buying shoes or a gadget, you'd like to check that out. The second, place where they will look for recommendation are from their friends and family. So online likes, the online, sentiment is something that Filipinos are really looking for. So I think in terms of digital is a very important, topic for us in Accenture. In fact, we set up a group that really just focuses on digital. And in fact, in terms of Accenture, we come out of what we call, we release what we call a technology vision every year. So we're doing it every year. no, and it's crowdsourced, it actually provides us a point of view in terms of what are the trends in technology. Last year, our technology vision is anchored on the theme of every business is a digital business, which means we're highlighting that every business needs to consider digital in their in their applications or in the way they're doing their work and other things like that. This year, our theme is digitally disrupted to digital disruptors, where we're seeing that the big companies are getting into the game, where previously, the small players, or actually what we call the startups, are actually the one disrupting the big companies like the Facebooks and the Google, mga startups like that. Now we're seeing Disney, other big companies like Nike getting into the game, using digital to disrupt the ecosystem. So in terms of the technology vision, we have six what we call trends. The first one is what we call digital physical blur. No? When you talk about digital physical blur, we are talking about the physical world getting online, getting into the cyber world. So we're looking at the connected devices, the Internet of Everything. Those are the things that we're seeing. Some examples would be, you've seen news about drones, Amazon trying to deliver their packages using drones, robotics, we've seen sensors being used, and that's what we're using, and what we're seeing in the application from the businesses side as well. The other area, in terms of trend, is in relation to crowdsourcing. And we're seeing that crowdsourcing is being used to generate ideas or even do testing, bug fixing, or determining security vulnerability in terms of a particular application or product. The other area is what we call a data supply chain, which means that we're trying to get all of the data and make it integrated, and that's where we're seeing that. So let me maybe go to the next slide, which is why is digital becoming more important? It's because of three things. One is changing customer expectation. Second is the technology shift, and the third one is really the cross-industry innovation. Why is changing customer expectation important? It's because you, as the customer, are becoming more demanding. The user experience is becoming king, or is very important. So if an application or a site doesn't give you a good user experience, you move on to the next application, or you move on to the next site. So it's very important that you consider the customer expectation. The second thing is online sales is really accelerating, as I mentioned. And it's very important that businesses get into the game in terms of online and e-commerce particularly. The next item here is related to technology shifts. Now, one of the things that is an important thing here is that this is one of the key technology innovation or changes, right? I think some of the speakers already mentioned that. One of the things I always say is that this is my mobile phone is more powerful than the PC that I was using 25 years ago, no? Where actually the 386, the 486, it's lower. Actually, it's amazing. Actually, even some of the mainframes that we were using 25 years ago might be weaker than the mobile phones that we're using, the processing power there. The other thing is like broadband has become pervasive right now. No, you can use Wi-Fi, you get broadband, etc. Where in the past you've seen very slow internet because you have to plug into your telephone. Actually, I don't think some of you did not experience that several years ago, right? But that's some of the innovation that actually enabled this particular changes here and the focus for digital. Other things like the wearables, the connected devices, the Internet of Things, those technology things are actually enabling the acceleration of digital in the market. So examples of companies. The next portion is really more big companies really getting into the game. An example here is Burberry. No? Burberry has what we call digital catwalk. You can go in there and buy your stuff there. You can see things there. Um, there's also Nike, the fuel band, right? Actually, the fuel band is a wearable, so a lot of information gathered about your health, your fitness, and the way you use that, how you develop that program is through embedded software programming, connected devices, no? So if you're an IT graduate or an IT student, you can get into that particular line of work as well if you're interested. Heineken has used social media in a lot of their campaign. So we're using social media, digital marketing. How do you engage your customer and make sure that there's stickiness in terms of the relationship with your customers. No? A good example is Tesco. Tesco is a grocery in the United States. The interesting part about this particular client is that they actually went to other lines of business. They went on to sell video on demand, and they're even selling their own tablets. No? So you can see that by in digital, each of the players can disrupt the ecosystem of the businesses. Okay? And then Disney. When you go to Disney, they engage you using your social media, no? Social media. They're using the mobile application to engage you and get you, having fun in the magical place of Disneyland, right? According to them. Now, there are a couple of key trends, right? The key trends is one is connected consumerism. Everybody's connected, When somebody talks about something bad about a product, you will hear about it very quickly. And people are actually looking at the likes, what's the interest, what's popular in social media. And that's one of the things that is being consulted by consumers. And I think that's very important to consider when building your application. The second one is omni-channel commerce. When you talk about omni-channel commerce, you're talking about engaging your customers wherever, whenever they like, right? So there was a study that was done that a typical worker, somebody already working, and maybe for students as well. In the morning, what they do is they check their cell phone, commuting, going to the office or going to work or going to school. In the day, they use their workstation as well to check, right? They can check their reservation. They can check information on their workstation, and in the evening, they might be checking their catch-up TV using their tablets. So each one of the form factors, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a phone, whether it's a workstation, a PC, you have to make sure that your businesses are using the right form or the right technology to be able to engage with your customer. So that's omni-channel commerce. Another trend that we're seeing is smarter dialogue. A good example here is you go to a coffee shop, right? Go to a coffee shop, then your phone would text you or notify you there's a 30% discount for a cafe latte in Starbucks or in that particular coffee shop. And then you say, okay, I might want to buy it. So smarter interaction, no? Or for example, a person is going to a particular store and he's looking for a particular product. And when he's looking at a particular product, they might provide you some recommendation using the profile or information that they gathered from your accounts as well as from your social media information as well. So those are the smarter dialogues. The next one is new business models, and I think I already talked about it. Tesco is a good example. A grocer going into a video on demand, selling tablets, etc. Or for example, a media entertainment company, sabihin natin, television company going into communication. And a good example there is ABS-CBN, right? They are a media entertainment company. They are now going into communications as well, no? And then the other thing that we're seeing right now is the digital enterprise, which means companies are opening up their HR system, their finance system. They're using those and using mobile application and devices to access them, enabling them enabling their employees, making them more efficient, more productive, making that data on the go as well. No? So those are some of the things that we're seeing in terms of trend. So here are some of the trends also from Gartner. Some of them might be familiar to you. So I think Internet of Everything, the cloud, the smart machine. Are you familiar with 3D printing? Good, okay. So basically, you design something and you print it out, right? And in fact, you now can print something that's already colored and ready to be used as well, no? Actually, that's something that's going to be more and more useful for us as prototyping or creating products that are simple at this point in time, no? So when you talk about Accenture Digital, we're talking about different groups. Now, around the world, we have around 23,000 people. Half of that is in what we call the Global Delivery Network, which includes us. So people that are delivering digital day in, day out. We have around 4,200 mobility projects, whether it's mobile app development, whether it's connected devices, whether running a system for our clients. We do that as well, no? We have 900 plus data scientists globally. And you might be asking, what are data scientists? These are the top, cream of the crop in terms of data and analytics. They are the ones providing insight to the data, looks at the data, and provide analytics and analysis on those data as well. We also have around 34 creative or design studios where we are designing the websites, we're designing the look and feel for your mobile application. So that's also something that we are doing in Accenture as well. And of course, the cloud. So if you look at Accenture, we're serving a lot of the top clients, and in fact, we're serving a lot of them here in the Philippines, which is proudly Filipino-made some of the products there, no? Some of the offerings we have and services, no? An example there. So when we're talking about digital, there are two customers that we target, no? The one is the digital customer, which is the end consumer. The other one is what we call the digital enterprise, which is the companies and businesses, right? So in the digital customers, a good example there is mobile commerce. You engage and and actually book your hotel using your mobile application. That's a good example there, no? In the other side, in digital enterprise, we're talking about connecting things, smart grid, smart electricity, smart digital plants, and other things like that. No, so mga connected devices. Those are the things that we have. Here's our offering. I won't drain this. I think I talked about it. Some of the services we provide is like digital marketing, digital corporate functions, analytics, mga big data analytics, etc. Those are the things we're doing in this particular space. Let me talk about interactive. I think when we talk about interactive, we're talking about 3 C's and a U. No? E-commerce, commerce, daya yun. Content management, collaboration, UI, UX, or user interface, user experience. And you can see some of the technologies that we use: Hybris, SharePoint, Sitecore. Some of the technologies that are being used by big clients in terms of their content management system, their e-commerce systems, some of their portals that they're developing for web commerce and other things like that. In mobility, I think people are very curious on what we do in mobility. We do mobile app development. We have several clients that we do just mobile apps and release that. In fact, one example that I will provide later on shows you we actually support what we call the #3 mobile commerce application in the world. Actually, only behind iTunes and Amazon, and it's being supported here in the Philippines. Okay. We do devices and platform, which is connected devices. So this is embedded software. This is some of the uses of sensors and other things like that. And managed service is where we operate those systems for the clients. Some pictures on what we do. You can see some of the things, some of the logos of the technology that's being used. If you want to be a mobile app developer, you probably would like to learn HTML5, okay? Yung Angular JS, jQuery. You probably will, look at developing skills on iOS, Android, that's good, right? But there's also like cross-platform tools like Kony, Xamarin. Microsoft is using Xamarin for cross-platform development, where you develop in one source code and produce different binaries for the different operating system. So those are the technologies that we're using. We also use, if you're in the testing area, if you're in QA, what we call quality assurance or testing, of course, you will be testing using test automation, automated testing. So examples would be Perfecto Mobile, Siculi, and some of those technologies as well. So those are the things we're doing. In analytics, you can see the traditional business intelligence. We got the big data, data visualization. Are you familiar with data visualization? You get your data, present it in a way that you can interact with it. You have different cuts, and you can show it. There are tools like Tableau, ClickView that allows you to play around with your data and interact with it so that you can have a real-time insight on your data. So those are the things that are being looked at by our clients as well. Big data is a big thing. It's interesting. Things like Hadoop and Teradata Aster are technologies that are being used by the different clients here. There's not a lot of them. Actually, it's something that the Philippines can really contribute to. If you're interested in doing analytics, that's something that it's really a big thing that that globally there's a lot of demand for data and analytics as well. Some of the technologies that I mentioned, there are some technologies on these vendors: SAP, Teradata. You take IBM, Oracle, different technologies there. And what we do is we help our clients when they, in terms of implementing these different technologies. So whether it's SAP, HANA. Have you heard of HANA? It's their in-memory database management system there. So basically, it's a fast way of processing your data in SAP. So some examples. All of these are Philippine-made, by the way. My team actually developed this. One of them is a mobile wallet implementation in Belgium. The first one, we're implementing it right now. So retailers, is connected to this, banks and telcos. So a customer can book their tickets, buy things using this. They can use the mobile payment using the bank's system, and the telco actually benefits if they use that, essentially. So that's a mobile wallet implementation. So that's something that we have developed for that. So if you're into sports, rugby, we developed an application for the rugby union in Australia. So it's interesting, Players, statistics, analytics. Another sports app, rugby union in Europe. So we're developing a lot of these mobile applications in the Philippines. These are just subsets. Here's what we call this is what I mentioned earlier. This is the number 3 mobile commerce application in the world. Only behind Apple's iTunes and Amazon. It generates $1 billion every year through hotel reservations, this particular application. This is actually this is a postal office of a European country wanting to sell phone lines. So they want to be a telco as well. So we help them by providing some of the assets that we have, including mobile applications. Here is an example where we implemented or helped a client set up an e-commerce site, and we did it in 2 months, right? So this is one of the fastest in terms of e-commerce implementation. So if you think that the Philippines is behind in digital, you should think about it again, because we really are doing a lot of things digital already in the Philippines. This is one of the retailers in the US. And we're using, actually in terms of mobility and interactive, as I mentioned, for the capability, we are already using agile methodology. I think you might have learned it from school, no? So a lot of our projects are using what we call agile, no? So Scrum, sprints, and you might probably learn more about it. You might want to research that. So it's very fast in terms of the development. Here's Analytics, which is a large consumer goods company. So we help them in terms of their analytics, no? Their data, putting sense in their data. Here's the second largest multinational mining company. Again, we're helping them with data and analytics as well, in terms of saving. Here is a bank, one of the leading global investment bank in the world. Again, all of these are being done here in the Philippines. No? So I can always tell you that there's a lot of opportunity in digital, number one. Number two, that we are not far behind, in terms of the skills for digital, because we are doing it already in the Philippines. No? So it's proudly Philippine-made ang mga applications na to, the systems na to. So, and this is something that will accelerate because if you look at where the demands are or the opportunities are for skills and and things like that, it's switching, no, from the traditional, the Java and the other system to more of this digital technologies as well. So more and more of these particular skills are needed around the world. No? So I think that's the last slide right now. I'm behind. I'm okay? Okay. So we're going to do a raffle, right? There's a video muna. Hintay muna daw. Video muna before raffle. Okay.
Okay, so, ayan, we're ready for a fabulous prize. Guess what, guys? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Ready na ba kayong makuha ang Samsung Smart PC?
From Accenture, guys.
Yes, of course.
Let's thank Accenture. Pasalamatan naman natin ang Accenture. Do you love Accenture? Wala. Do you love Accenture? Okay, they want a tablet. All right, and it's Samsung ATIV.
Okay. Who will be the lucky winner, sir? Do the honor?
Okay, guys, cross your fingers because if you are here, you are the lucky winner. If you are not, sorry na lang.
And the winner is, are you here from Baliwag Polytechnic College, BSIT 4A, Magtabog, Danica Rose E.
Danica Rose Magtabog from Baliwag Polytechnic College.
10, 9, 8.
Going once.
There she is.
Going twice.
Where are you?
Okay, congratulations.
There she is. Congratulations, Danica.
Okay.
Here's your Samsung ATIV Smart PC from Accenture.
Okay, Chris. Oh my God, sobrang lucky, di ba?
Yes.
Now, wait lang. May tanong ako. Miss Danica, tama ba?
Yes po.
Anong school ka galing?
Baliwag Polytechnic College!
Nasaan kayo?
Parang wala ka atang supporters.
there
Isa
they
pa.
are.
Saan ka galing?
Baliwag Polytechnic College!
Make some noise, guys.
Ayan.
From Bulacan.
So what can you say to Accenture?
Thank you sa Accenture. Speechless. Thank you! Thank you sa Accenture.
Yun lang nasabi niya.
Okay, she is indeed overwhelmed. Okay, one photo.
Okay.
Speechless.
Okay.
Picture.
May photo op tayo.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Congratulations.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir. At syempre, maraming salamat din po sa pamilya ng Accenture.